The lock dangled from my gate like a hanged man, its metal guts spilling out under the streetlight's glare. Karen, our HOA's self-appointed queen, had struck again, and this time, she'd brought her guillotine. I'd seen her kind before, power-hungry, clipboard-wielding tyrants who ruled our sleepy suburb like it was their personal fiefdom. But Karen? She was the Napoleon of nosy neighbors, a 5'2" dynamo in a tailored blazer, her blonde bob sharper than the shears she'd used to snip my chain. Her latest crusade was my gate, a hulking iron barrier at the edge of my property that she'd deemed an eyesore. Never mind that it wasn't mine to move, it belonged to the military base next door, a fact she'd conveniently ignored when she'd hacked it open to let her guests park their shiny BMWs on restricted land for her annual garden gala. I stood there, staring at the mangled lock, my blood boiling as her laughter floated from her manicured lawn. Her guests sipped rose, oblivious to the storm brewing. I could have called the cops, filed a complaint, or even confronted her myself. But something told me this was bigger than me. This was karma's stage, and Karen was about to take her final bow. The trouble started 3 months ago when Karen, president of the Willow Creek HOA, decided my gate violated community standards. It was a relic of the base, rusted but functional, marking the boundary between our cul-de-sac and the restricted zone. The military didn't care about its aesthetics, and neither did I. But Karen? She saw it as a personal affront, a blemish on her vision of suburban perfection. She'd sent me letters, left voicemails, even cornered me at the mailbox with her saccharine smile and veiled threats. "We're a community, Tom," she'd cooed, her eyes glinting like a predator's. "Compliance is unity." I ignored her. Big mistake. Karen didn't take kindly to defiance. She'd rallied her loyalists half the neighborhood, brainwashed by her promises of pristine lawns and skyrocketing property values. They whispered about me at book clubs, cast sidelong glances at my unkempt hedges. I was the outlier, the rebel who dared to keep a gate that didn't match the HOA's color palette. But I wasn't alone. Others grumbled in private, told Mrs. Jenkins, whose rose bushes Karen had fined for overgrowth, Raj, whose mailbox was deemed too modern, and Maria, who'd been slapped with a $200 penalty for leaving her kid's tricycle out overnight. Karen's reign was a pressure cooker, and the lid was about to blow. The night of her gala, I was at home, nursing a beer and scrolling through X, where the neighborhood group chat was already ablaze. Someone had posted a blurry photo of Karen with bolt cutters, grinning like a kid with a new toy as she sliced through my lock. "For the greater good," she'd captioned it, as if vandalism was a public service. Comments poured in, some cheering her on, others livid. "That's military property," Raj had typed, his words buried under a flood of heart emojis from Karen's sycophants. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The universe was already writing its response. By 7 p.m., her guest cars lined the restricted zone like a luxury car dealership. Teslas, Audis, a Bentley parked brazenly on land marked with faded "no trespassing" signs. I watched from my porch as Karen strutted in her tactical vest, a bizarre choice for a garden party, the word HOA emblazoned on the back like a badge of honor. She directed traffic with the precision of a drill sergeant, oblivious to the MPs rolling up in their Humvee. The first sign of trouble was the siren. A low wail at first, it grew louder, cutting through the string quartet's rendition of Vivaldi. Karen froze, her wineglass halfway to her lips. Her guests turned, confused, as 2 military police officers stepped out, their faces carved from stone. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, and I leaned against my porch railing, savoring the view. "Ma'am," the lead officer barked, his voice carrying over the murmurs. "This is restricted federal property. Who authorized this?" Karen's smile didn't waver, but her eyes darted like a cornered animal's. "Officer, I'm the HOA president. This gate was obstructing our community's access. I took initiative." "Initiative?" The officer's brow arched. He pointed to the severed lock, now evidence in a plastic bag held by his partner. "You tampered with military property. That's a federal offense." The crowd gasped. Karen's guests clutched their pearls literal and figurative as whispers turned to shouts. She didn't know. One of her friends cried, but the neighbors weren't buying it. Raj stepped forward, his phone in hand, the ex-post now viral with hundreds of reactions. She knew, he said, his voice steady. She just didn't care. What followed was chaos. The MPs demanded Karen's ID, their radios crackling with orders to secure the area. Her guests scrambled to move their cars, but the damage was done. The neighborhood turned on her, their pent-up frustrations erupting like a volcano. Mrs. Jenkins hobbled forward, waving her cane. "You fine me for my roses, but you break federal laws?" Maria joined in, her voice shaking with years of suppressed rage. "You made my daughter cry over a tricycle." Karen's facade cracked. Her lips trembled, her vest suddenly looking like a costume on a child playing dress-up. "I was protecting our property values," she shrieked, but the crowd drowned her out. Someone maybe Raj threw a plastic cup, splashing her with lemonade. The MPs didn't intervene. They just watched, their faces unreadable. The ex-posts exploded. HOA Karen was trending by 9 p.m., with memes of her bolt-cutter grin plastered across the platform. Strangers weighed in, sharing their own HOA horror stories. "She's a Karen on steroids," one user wrote. Another posted a photoshopped image of her in handcuffs, captioned, "Karma's got a warrant." The public's outrage was a tidal wave, and Karen was drowning. But the real blow came the next morning. The base commander arrived, flanked by MPs and a lawyer. Karen's stunt had triggered a security review, and the military wasn't playing games. They demanded her resignation from the HOA and threatened charges: vandalism, trespassing, maybe even endangerment. The neighborhood held an emergency meeting, and for the first time, Karen wasn't in charge. Raj took the mic, his voice calm but firm. "We're done with tyrants," he said. "This isn't her kingdom." The vote was unanimous. Karen was out. Her allies sat silent, their loyalty evaporating under the weight of public scorn. She left the meeting in tears, her vest discarded in a trash bin. The neighborhood buzzed with a strange mix of relief and guilt. We'd toppled a dictator, but at what cost? Karen was still one of us, a neighbor, a flawed human who'd let power go to her head. In the weeks that followed, the community changed. The HOA rewrote its bylaws, prioritizing fairness over control. Mrs. Jenkins' roses bloomed without fines. Maria's daughter rode her tricycle freely. I got a new lock military grade, courtesy of the base commander, who'd taken a liking to my rebel spirit. But the real shift was deeper. We talked more, listened more. The X-group chat became a place for ideas, not arguments. Karen's fall had exposed our divisions, but it also forced us to confront them. Karen moved away a month later. Her house sold to a young couple who painted their mailbox neon green just because they could. I saw her once, at the grocery store, her bob grown out, her eyes avoiding mine. I wanted to say something, to offer an olive branch, but she was gone before I could. Maybe it was better that way. Some bridges burned for a reason. Her downfall wasn't just about a lock or a gate. It was about power, pride, and the consequences of thinking you're above the rules. Karen learned that the hard way, and so did we. Community isn't built on control. It's built on trust, on letting people breathe. We're still learning, still rebuilding, but we're doing it together. If you've got a Karen in your neighborhood, don't wait for karma, call it out, and build something better.